All right, so your game is going to be, I'm going to say it's like somewhat of a social media challenge, but before you roll your eyes at me, it's not exactly like a typical social media challenge, so hear me out. It is that you're going to, for at least one day, but I'm saying I would like it to be a real challenge, a week. You're going to post something on social media, any of your choice. I mean, any that you already use, or if you don't use any, which was totally me there for a minute, don't use that as your like escape card. You then have to figure out how to set one up and use it, or, even if you are on certain social media but haven't been on a certain one, you could use that as your challenge and like jump on an unfamiliar one and see how that goes. But basically, the point is that you're going to post something that really challenges you. Okay. So instead of like receiving a Facebook challenge or a social media challenge or something from some exterior source, the challenge is going to be you challenging yourself through this social media medium. And so what that means is post something that you never would, post something that you don't see other people doing, post something that is like truly a gift from yourself to the world. And so you have to put some thought into that. I mean, one way to do this, and I've seen people kind of do this, especially because I was in a challenge similar to this. And I think sometimes you could take this in the way of like, okay, so I'm just going to do like outrageousness. I'm going to do stuff that I would never do or that nobody's ever done. And, the thing is, that trying to do the outrageous, like trying to do something that nobody's ever done before, that's been done before, right? I mean, like, that's what people were just doing for years on YouTube and still are, like, to try to, like, have something crazy that nobody's ever seen before go viral, So that's actually not something that is original or fresh or just trying to do something outrageous or wacky or, that is totally like mind blowing. Nobody's even thought anybody would post about that, If you're doing it from that angle, if you're doing it from that angle of like, well, I'm going to just try to be crazy for the purpose of being crazy, or I'm going to be outrageous, that kind of misses the point a little bit. So I'm just saying that right out of the gates. You want to do something that just challenges you. Okay, so if you're the type of person that never says much that's like deeply personal about your feelings on social media, you're always posting the happy stuff, you might want to say something about the stuff that's not happy, or you could post like a journal entry of yours, something that you're like, wow, that makes me feel like almost like a shock to even think of doing that. Like that makes me like, or feel something, it gives you like real sensation in your body and your heart to even think of doing something like that, because then it's challenging you. You're going to really be pushing yourself out on the edge. I mean, you might not do something that totally violates yourself. You want to keep that boundary intact. You don't want to, sort of betray yourself or violate yourself and like post something that's just too personal that violates your own standards of like what is for you. But you really do want to ask and double check and make sure where those lines are, because there's a lot that we kind of hold back that we could put forward without actually violating ourselves. Instead, it would be like challenging ourselves to do it. So find that line, and we're trying to go with the challenging. So you could do like, you write out a retelling of your dream that night, or you could, like I said, post a journal page that's just like raw, and you didn't write the journal page knowing that you would post it. I mean, it has to be something that you didn't really think would be out there. Or it could be, if you're not the type of person that ever posts pictures of yourself, it could be stuff that is, more flipping the camera on you and showing pictures of yourself. Although, again, like, try to have something that's a little different. That's not just like, well, I don't like pictures of me, so here's pictures of me. Like, okay, pictures of you, maybe doing the things that you love most, or during times of the day, you just take a random snapshot, no posing, no makeup, or no, trying to like make it look cool, no double takes, you can't like keep taking some until you get one that looks good. Like literally, you could put into the challenge, like, all right, at a random interval that like, I don't know, somebody in my family says, okay, now, or I just think to myself, okay, now, just snap it. And whatever you get is whatever you get, but give yourself some challenge in it, because even if you're just like taking pictures of yourself, that might not be challenging enough, even if you don't usually post pictures of yourself because you think that's obnoxious. But it doesn't really challenge you enough to take some pictures of yourself because, whatever. I did one where I had like really bad pictures of myself, like goofy ones where my eyes were closed and I'm making a ridiculous face. And I did one like that because that was, like more challenging for me. And I made fun of myself at the same time. So something like that, because like I said, I've done this one before. So you're not in it alone. Another one that I really think is awesome too is to think about it or go at it from a little bit of a different angle. And that's the one I mentioned before about really what you would like to give to the world. I don't mean like get out on a political soapbox and like piss people off on purpose because again, that one's been played, like we're trying to go with things that are challenging to you. That's the primary thing. But secondarily, something that that's fresh. It hasn't really been done before in quite that same vein, with like a real authentic, like sincere intention. You're really just trying to put something forward. And I think that thinking of like, what can I really give to the world? What do I offer? What is my unique person like? What does the world need kind of thing, And so thinking of it as a gift to other people, to the people that are looking at it. Think of something that could be a gift. And so, it could be something like a quote that, is going to really brighten someone's day. But again, that is something that's played out a bit. So could you get a little more creative in that? I mean, this whole exercise is meant to challenge yourself. It's meant to get you to focus in on you as a unique self and kind of establish your voice a little too. Think about what that voice actually is. And then it's meant to work your creativity, like get even more creative. What would be even more different than what's already out there? Because the more creative you get in offering something, because this is all about offering, you're kind of putting yourself out there in that social media way, which is a small form of giving of yourself, because others are going to be seeing it. Instead of thinking of it as like a popularity contest or like, oh my God, others are going to see it, I can't, think of the others as the receivers. There are people who are going to be receiving, and therefore, what can I really give that's great, that's juicy, that's different, that's unique, that's me, that even challenges me to give? Because wow, it's like so near and dear to my heart, or so new and fresh, or, so challenging for me to like bring that up out of my person, those honest, dreams that I had or whatever. But, thinking of it in this way of a gift to others that are receiving, that can be cool too. It could be like, I think others really need to see, I don't know, whatever, pictures of, nature or something, but like, I don't know, again, that one's kind of overplayed, but from your own take, or I think, that people just need to see people's real lives or my real life, or, it's just an offering. It's just an offering. It doesn't have to be, because the more I'm giving these examples, the more I'm realizing that when you think of that gift as like what the whole world needs, like your way of being the hero to save the entire world, that's when things start to get really cliche. That's why there's a lot of already quotes and poems out there that are meant to brighten people's day, or there's a lot of, things, political, rants out there. There's a lot of nature photos and things out there because, those are things that the world at large needs. Okay. And I'm not denying that, but I'm saying let's think of it a little more specific, because this challenge is about you and it's more about what you can give. So you're thinking of, if there are people receiving, what can I put out? What can I say? What can I, that is a true gift, that I'm actually giving something from me, a true gift from me. Like if we're thinking metaphorically about gifts, like tangible gifts, even though this is not that kind, like handmade, like the way that you would say like, oh, I made it, like this is a handmade gift, so giving or putting out something that is a true gift from you. So there's authenticity. So if it's a nature photo, like how can it really be from you? How can it really be true to you? How can it really be challenging for you to send out a nature photo? How can it really have the flavor or the signature of you? How can it really be fresh and new and interesting and a little different than what anybody else might see, because you've really taken it from the deepest, most sincere place inside of you that is totally just you and your flavor and your voice, and it challenged you, even made you feel a little shy and like touched and vulnerable, because whoa, you were at your core when you reached in and gave this, so that's that other way of thinking of it. And there's definitely things that I sit and say things that are like making fun of myself. But when I was making fun of myself, I was talking about like real stuff that happened inside of myself. And that I was like, oh my gosh, here's the thing that I don't want to admit to the world today. And here's the thing that I don't want to admit to myself, or that I don't want anybody to know about today. And that's kind of what I did. And I think in a way that was a real giving of myself, because I was giving the real. And I was also, giving something that people would like to have, which is, sincerity, period. So, cause sometimes, okay. And I'm just like, one last thing, cause I know I've been on this for a minute. But sometimes people will do that thing where they're like, I'm going to tell you like it's real. I'm going to give you the real deal. I'm going to tell you, and what they're saying, it doesn't actually feel that sincere. It feels like somebody who is, I don't know, trying to go for feeling like they're real. You know what I'm saying? They're like trying to get the accolade of being somebody who's real, because they like that. But you can tell that it wasn't really challenging for them, because there's still a performance or an air happening. And it's so hard to not do that, because when people are watching, it's so hard not to do that. But you're just going to think of it as a gift instead, like you're giving of you for real, handmade gift, from deep within with all the sincerity. That means it must challenge you, and it must touch you, and it must give you kind of the jitters or the feels to like even think about doing it, because that's when we know we're in the zone of real sincerity. So, have fun. I didn't want to give like too many examples. I mean, it could be like artwork, it could be drawings, it could be like free flow poetry. You could be like acting something out. You could be making silly voices with a puppet, because you're just like, putting yourself out there nervously. Like I'm never a fool in front of people. Like I've always got such a really calm and collected exterior. And so then you push yourself to like be that fool, that silly, goofy person that like only the two people that know you best in the world have ever seen. But there you go. You're going to like really put it out there and do some silly puppet show or some, whatever, with some writings that you wrote. You wrote a story one time when you were younger and like nobody's ever read your little novel, but you're going to like do puppet show and do goofy voices and like act that thing out and actually make it even sillier than it is, So I don't care what creative way this manifests. Or it could be like little handmade things that you found in nature and that you collected and that you like, or that you wove together these little flowers and made this or that, whatever it is that feels like so precious and so sincere and such real stuff from you. You get to be creative, but then you're going to find your way to be putting that out there. Man, I was thinking about doing my dreams. That's why I used that as an example, because like I have some crazy dreams. And yeah, like just, putting out a story that was my dream. Like, yep, this is what I dreamt of last night, and doing that for a week. That would be interesting to see what people do. So have fun and do this social media challenge that is basically just challenging you, but using social media to do it.